Good day and welcome to a new video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Hello and welcome. Today you're joined by me, Daniel, as your host. And also today you're joined by Jacob Blackmon. You can find his work on prodigyduck.com. Is he still here?
Yeah, prodigyduck.deviantart.com.
That's the one. Yeah, prodigyduck.com. Yeah, you can check out his work. He does pretty interesting stuff here. Yes, and can you tell me a bit about yourself?
Absolutely. I am a full-time professional freelance illustrator. This is something I've only recently started in my life, like about, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago. Before that, I was, just doing art on my own. Occasionally, did a few freelance things here and there as independent commission work. But like I said, about 7 or 8 years ago, I started getting commissions from tabletop role-playing games, and they wanted me to do illustrations for various monster projects they had, character projects they had. And after discovering that I was very quick and was able to meet my deadlines and produced decent quality work, they kept coming back to me, and I started working for one company, then I was working for 3 companies, and over time I've worked for, I would say, probably well over a dozen small tabletop role-playing companies. I've done a couple of small comics projects as well, because originally I wanted to do comic books, but which is why my style looks the way it does. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got into it. Quit my day job, which I do not recommend, and pretty much doing the illustration gig full time now.
Awesome. Yeah. It does take a while. I mean, you can't just quit your job and go into it straight off the bat. Yeah. Also, from like before 7 years ago, how many years did it kind of take you to get to that point?
Oh well, I've been pretty serious about my art since I was 7 years old.
Mm.
I just seemed to have a good skill for it, and after discovering comic books when I was about 9 or 10, I decided, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to make these. These were fun. So I cultivated my style. I looked at what was popular at the time, the popular artists, the popular comics, tried to emulate them. Later on, I discovered manga and anime, and my art evolved even more from that, taking on elements of the Eastern styles. And from there, I never really broke out into comics because I never sent my stuff into any companies, and that I know that's my own fault. But you always have this idea that someone's going to discover me. No, that's not going to happen. You actually have to put in the work and get your stuff out there for people to see. But otherwise, yeah, I just kept working on my style and making sure I could draw a lot of different things. And eventually, a friend of mine who runs a game company decided to use me for that.
Awesome. That's great. I mean, for myself, I've always been interested in creating things. Like, for instance, as a kid, I used to collect whatever I found on the walk home, and eventually I try and make stuff with it. So I've always been interested in that kind of thing, which is very interesting. I had like Lego and all that stuff to create things with. I mean, I didn't have all the Legos. I kind of got it myself, kind of a thing. And I was always drawing things, creating things. I mean, as a kid, my favorite thing to draw was a dragon. And that kind of thing, which is it's great to do. Um, yeah, so you're still there.
I am.
Awesome. Yeah, and I've tried different mediums and things like that, and this was always the thing that stuck out for me. Um, for you that don't know, I'm painting here my second to last page, page 13, of my book here, which is a pretty big project for myself. I decided to take on a bigger project this time. It's lasted probably somewhere between 6 to 8 months, something like that. I'm usually
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long project. I mean, it's a bit spread out because I've been working full time, so I've got to deal with that, and then I've got to deal with my little family as well. So it's a little bit spread out, but yeah, it is a big project for me to take on a 14-page book. Um, yeah, do you prefer big projects or small projects?
Financially, I prefer small projects because I can get them done faster and there's a greater turnaround. But I do love planning and making big projects because you get that real sense of accomplishment. It's like this is something great I've done.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. It's like you felt you've achieved so much when you like finish uh um big project.
Yeah, I've got a couple of big projects that I've worked on in the past on my own. I've done again for tabletop gaming. There was a product, a series of products that I create called the Superpowered Legends, which is emulating characters from comic books and showing how to create them for a game called Mutants and Masterminds. And when I finally got time to write an adventure for it, it took so long. I had no idea how much I was getting into because the writing. Well, I had the idea for the adventure in my head. The writing took a while because I'm not used to such long writing projects, and then I had to get the art done for that. And based on my estimations, between writing and art, I maybe put in like based on how much I normally charge, like $1,500 worth of work, and it's popular with the fans, but I've gotten maybe like $500 back from various sales on it, and it was a passion project for me more than anything. I didn't do it for the to make big fame and money. It was something I wanted to do. It's something I love, and that kind of drive is something I think all artists and creative types need.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before. Like you kind of need those personal projects to build yourself up. Um, yeah, they're great opportunities to learn from, and things like that, because with those like personal projects and things, you're kind of learning something new. You're trialing things. Yeah, just building up like your passion and your creativity a bit more just by doing those little personal projects. I mean, hey, it doesn't earn you money sometimes, but it's
No.
still very important to do. Um,
Yeah, I like challenging myself, and it's a good way to increase what you can do.
hmm. Awesome. So you said you've been to a few Comic Cons lately?
Yes, recently, in fact, I was at a local convention, which is called SoonerCon here in Norman, pardon me, Norman, Oklahoma, It originally started as a tabletop gaming convention, but over the years that it's been expanding and evolving, it's now pretty much a just general fan convention where it's all about various different sci-fi, fantasy. We get novelists who show up, local comic illustrators, all that sort of thing, local movie makers. So it's basically just one big fun genre convention instead of specifically a tabletop gaming convention. It's a lot of fun. I like going to this.
Awesome. Do you go to many of them?
I have in the past, less so recently. There's been a little bit of a financial bind. It happens with all artists. You get those nice feast and famine parts, and when you're doing this as a full-time freelancer, you get a lot of commissions. You have a lot of money, and so you get more opportunities to travel and go to cons and see people. And then there are times where the money slows down and you have to back off on those sort of things. Right now, I'm having to back off on that, and I was only able to go to a local convention. But I'm hoping that next year will get a little better, and I'll be able to go to some more cons. I would love to go to like Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle and Gen Con up in Indianapolis next year.
Awesome. There we go. And do you go to many as like attendees, or do you always like try and get a table? Or
When I first go to a con, I always try to go as an attendee. That way I can get a feeling for what the con is like and make plans for how to approach it as a possible professional the following year. And if I really like the con, I will then look into how to go about getting a table and what I will need to have available for the fans there, because you have to approach each and every con as a professional differently, because a different con is going to have different fans. You're not going to sell the same art going to a general science fiction convention as you are, say, going to a comic book convention where they're going to want more superhero stuff. And then if you're going to something more specific, like a My Little Pony convention, you better have some pony art.
hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's where, people are gathering to enjoy ponies, so you don't want to bring kind of, guts and gore and things like that to, you know.
Exactly. That's not what they want. So you really have to start. You have to make sure you're specializing in what that con is aimed for.
Hmm, exactly. Here in New Zealand, we don't really have many of those at all. Really, we've only got kind of Armageddon, which is pretty cool. That's kind of generalized. There's a lot of like um, actors and artists and lots of like important people and things that come to that kind of event, which is really cool to see. It always grows and changes every year, which is pretty cool. I did it probably 2 or 3 years back. Got a table there. Um, yeah, it was awesome to meet and see people there.
Very cool.
But it is, it's fairly costly. Um, it costs quite a bit, so you've got to kind of make your money back. Um, yeah.
Oh yeah. You're gonna be spending a lot just on the table alone. Not to mention, having prints or whatever it is you're selling, whether it's comics or books, anything else available.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. All the prints are expensive. Um, but it's fun to do. For me, it wasn't really financially right to do it again or keep going with it. Um, but definitely one day I'm thinking about it. You know, it looks. Um, I enjoyed myself. You know, wasn't exactly the best financially, but it was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed getting my art out there, seeing other artists and things like that, which is fun too.
Absolutely. That's one of the things I do love about going to conventions. Even if you don't make a lot of money back, you still get to meet a lot of other people in who are there in the industry. You get to meet the artists or either local or somewhat nearby, because people travel far for local cons, but they'll go a little farther for the bigger cons. But either way, you still get to chat with other people who are doing the same thing you do in the industry, trade stories, figure out what it's like at other conventions that they've been to.
Mm.
So you get a chance to talk and just have a lot of fun with other people who share your interests.
Yeah, it's a gathering of people that share your interests, which is it's really awesome. Um, yeah, one day I'd like to go to different ones um, around the world. That'd be cool.
Well, there are a few I recommend. I always recommend Gen Con, especially if you're a tabletop gamer. If you're just into comics, then I would probably definitely there's always San Diego Comic Con, but that's a madhouse of a show. So don't go there unless you are ready to deal with the huge crowds. The huge crowds. Otherwise, I'd probably recommend a smaller uh, comic convention, maybe like okay. When I say smaller, it's you're still going to be dealing with tens of thousands of people, as opposed to San Diego Comic Con, where you might be dealing with hundreds of thousands of people. Um, but I would probably recommend Emerald City Comic Con or C2E2, which I believe takes place in Chicago. You might have some there. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with a lot of cons outside the United States.
Hmm. That's all good. I mean, you yourself, you're from the United States, so do you ever go outside?
I have not yet had the opportunity to love to visit some other countries. I have my idea on going to one day because my father was there when he was in his 20s, and he really enjoyed that experience. And I've also wanted to visit places like maybe China someday.
Oh, sorry, you cut out a little bit there.
Sorry. I also other places I wanted to visit were like Japan or China.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be interesting places to see. So you can see Japan and China. So yeah, that's a little bit.
Culture and beautiful landscapes. They
Mm,
they they've always fascinated me.
mm. Yeah, it's awesome to see different places. I haven't ventured out further than New Zealand as well. New Zealand at the moment, I only ventured down south. Um, to the other part of the island, like a couple of years back, 4 or 5 years back. Um, but one day, when I've got the money and everything like that, I might go to somewhere like Canada. I want to see what that's like and those places. Um, yeah.
Canada, I think, would also be a fun place to visit. I have several friends who live there and a couple who have visited as well, and they've said it's just wonderful.
Mm, awesome. Um, yeah. So you draw like quite a few things here and there. What is your like favorite thing to draw? So you cut out
tabletop
again.
game. Sorry, apparently I'm my mic closer to my mouth.
Yeah.
Whether it's something from mythology or something from a tabletop game or even a monster movie, you know, you can't go wrong drawing monsters. The more you accentuate the claws or the fangs or make the eyes big and crazy, it doesn't look wrong because it's monstrous, and so it's just fun to draw monsters.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's very cool to see and like draw that kind of thing. Something you're not used to seeing, um, which is really cool.
Yeah, if anything from fantasy or the imagination is, it's always a delight to bring to life as an illustration, because it's something I've often mentioned in my Patreon or to people who come to me as to get a new art commission, is like, what from your imagination can I make real for you?
Hmm. Awesome. Yeah. So you have a Patreon. How long have you had that?
I've had my Patreon for, I want to say, maybe 2 years now. I'm actually pretty new to the Patreon scene, so it's mostly just me posting whatever I happen to randomly draw,
Mhm.
and then I also offer a couple of pledge levels where they can get, where if they pay the higher prices, they can get a piece of art or more than one piece of art from me every month.
Awesome. Has it like always been a success for you, or did it take a time to build up, or?
Oh no, it definitely took time to build up.
Mm.
For the first, I want to say for the first 8 to 9 months,
Mm.
I was pulling maybe $30 to $50 a month
Mm.
from my Patreon, and then I started this one particular level, which I call the retail level, where if you're a game designer, you can get illustrations from me at a slightly reduced price. I offer a quarter-page single character illustration and a half-page multi-character illustration, which I normally charge $135 for that sort of thing, but I'm offering it at $100. And I got several people to sign up for that level, and that brought in a few more people, and now I'm pulling in like $450 to $500 a month from my Patreon.
Wow, that's nice. Yeah, it's quite.
It
Mm.
it's not Sakimi-chan money, but who else is making money like Sakimi-chan?
Yeah, it's extra cash, in the end. But it's quite interesting that you trialed that and that worked out. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's just trial and error. Whether this works or that works. Whether you try to sell commissions, or you rather try and sell the prints. It's always
Absolutely.
it's always a learning curve.
Yeah, I haven't had a lot of success with selling prints. I get a lot more selling individual commissions and different different new pieces of art with the prints. I'm hoping to someday collect my stuff in an art book out there, but that may be something a little more down the line.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I'd like to create my own like art book. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, obviously that would be years down the track. Um, because I'd want a pretty good collection of pieces. Um,
Yeah, especially because it has to be your best stuff. It has to be stuff art that would be good for the general audience, not for any one specific audience to be successful. You know?
Mm. Yeah. Awesome. So, did you start off getting a lot of commissions, or?
Initially, no. When I was first as a freelancer, I would get maybe I'd pull in 2 commissions every so many months, like every quarter. It wasn't until I started working for the tabletop gaming industry that I started becoming really successful. Like I said, about
Mm.
7 or 8 years ago, and I started working for. Then it was called Super Genius Games, which has several years down the line evolved into Rogue Genius Games,
Mm.
and I started working for them, and Owen Stevens, who runs that company, started telling his people he knew in the industry about how quickly I worked. They showed them the quality of my art, the fact that I was always able to hit a deadline. Because back then I had never missed a deadline. I think I've missed maybe 1 or 2 since then,
Mm.
but only because circumstances happened. I was sick, or I
Mm.
had just took too much on at the same time. So that was my own foolishness. Um, yeah, as a sidebar, as a freelancer,
Mm.
if you're busy with art, sometimes you have to learn to say no to new projects. I realize you want to make that money, but sometimes if you're overwhelmed, you have to say no. And suggest other artists you enjoy who have a similar style to your own, that the person can get their art done. So that was an issue for a bit. But over time, Owen told other people about me, and I started getting more and more commissions from them. I started working for adventureaweek.com, and when you're a company that's called Adventure a Week, writing a different adventure every week, you need new art every week. So I was getting new regular stuff from them all the time. That was great.
Oh.
And then, like Christina Styles Presents came to me, and Fainting Goat Games, and a lot of small third-party companies started coming to me pretty regularly for work. And yeah, I'm between my Patreon and random commissions. I am always busy these days. It's pretty rare when I don't have commission work in the works.
Were you actively seeking out commissions and things when you were starting off?
Absolutely, it is something I do post when I don't have any active commissions. I'm pretty busy on social media looking for work, letting people know I am available, because as full-time freelance, you don't want too much free time, because then you're soon gonna not have any grocery money and not being able to pay the bills. And you gotta keep the money coming in.
This one. So you do a lot of creature combos. What's been most enjoyable about that?
The fan response has been pretty positive recently about doing called Era. Steven, Rogue Genius Games, started just randomly posting on social media a 3-sentence blurb about a random chimeric creature he did called hashtag Griffmaras, and it would be this type of creature mixed with the type of animal, and here are its powers, and a fun little factoid about it. Like it leave tracks that can salt or honest. So I took a lot of those he had, and I started drawing them.
Hmm.
And the fan response has been amazing. You know, on an average day on my DeviantArt, I would get maybe 20 likes or comments on my pictures, and I'm waking up these days getting like ever since I did this like a couple months ago, like I'm getting like 400 likes and comments on these Griffmera's pieces, and I'm just astounded at how much people love them.
Hmm. Well, I suppose it's something fascinating at the time, it's interesting to try those things, if something's interesting and you try it and, it does get a lot of attention. Yeah, you usually tend to keep going on that, which is interesting.
It certainly is making me want to draw more of the Griffmeras, let me tell you. But, I don't know if people will get tired of those eventually or what. It's all a matter of what captures people's fascination or attention at the time.
Awesome. But yeah, it encourages you to do more of it, which is cool. Um,
Absolutely.
hmm. Yeah, which is it's great. It's great to have that kind of thing. Um, yeah, for me, I've heard of DeviantArt. And probably a couple of years back, I wouldn't have gotten what I've got today. I would have got maybe 10 views. Um, every couple of days or something. But now it's constantly like, and I'm not even doing anything on my DeviantArt. It's just kind of sitting there, and it just like I'm constantly getting views on it, which is very interesting. It's not like I'm posting anything or trying anything new on it. It's just sitting there growing, which is yeah.
Well, if it's all about what you have time to do.
Mm.
If you make the time for the new art, you've got that going on, or if you're doing a streaming show like this, then that's a great means of promoting. See, I don't have a streaming show like you do, so I don't really have a means of promoting my art other than going onto various social media and saying, "Hey, I'm here. Hire me."
Yeah. Yeah, it's each their own. For me, I post on Instagram twice a week. Usually just images of these videos that have been posted. Um, I really use DeviantArt apart from looking and finding artists to talk to, and yeah, just see people's work on there and things like that. Um, I mean, I used to be very into the DeviantArt posting all the time and things like that, but obviously with this YouTube channel, it's very hard to do that because with these pieces, I don't really want to put them to the public yet until they're kind of fully finished, and things like that. So I don't have a lot of that social media going on, but yeah, most of my social media time is on YouTube. / Twitch. Yeah, for yourself, what kind of social medias do you use?
Well, besides DeviantArt, which does count as social media, I primarily use Facebook and Twitter. I do have an Instagram account, and I am on Discord, but I don't really do much with those. You're more likely to find me on Facebook and Twitter at Jacob Blackmon. Yeah, that's pretty much that.
Awesome. Uh,
I was told when I started making it big in the gaming industry as an artist, I had to have a social media presence because at the time I really didn't. But I was encouraged to do both and be prominent on that. That way people would see me, see my art, and hopefully do. What happens? You have to be active on social media.
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely important. I mean, people need to know where to find you, you know, what your work looks like, so they know what to kind of, um, they kind of want from you, kind of a thing. So, um, yeah, it's really important if you, yeah, if you're looking at making money from it, it's very important to do. Um,
Absolutely. And it's not just about self promotion. You also want to help promote the people for whom you've done the art. So, if you've got a product that has art in it, you want to advertise that for them. That way you get more sales and more art.
hmm.
And also it helps promote stuff don't have art in. That's a nice way to remind them that, hey, I still follow your products, and even though I haven't worked for you in this one, I still think you make good products and support you.
Awesome. Uh, oh, do you have any goals at the moment? Still there?
Honestly, I would
You can now.
because I've seen people do very very simple and sometimes some fairly complex animation.
Solid. Oh, here we go. Is it better?
You still there?
Yep.
Okay. Uh, but I was talking about, I would love to learn animation because I've
Mm.
seen a lot of people do sometimes very simple and sometimes fairly complicated animation just with their tablets, and I would love to learn how to do that. So I think I'm going to need to pick up some books on how to make uh, online animations and see if I might be able to do that someday. Because I think if I could do that, it would be pretty fun.
Hmm.
There's also a couple of comic projects that I created a few years ago that I stepped away from that I would love to get back to. One in particular was called "The Path Less Traveled" for a magazine called Pathways, and I still have story ideas for it. It's just getting those ideas from my head out out to the pen tip is what I'm having issues with right now.
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely, you know, that kind of thing. You know, getting your head ideas down on paper is obviously a struggle. Um, you know, it works out sometimes. Or you know, but there are like those projects that is very. There are those projects that's better than others for that kind of thing. You know. Um. Mm,
Yeah, like I said, it's always easier for me to do a simple basic commission than it is a big project like that. And sequential art, even a small comic strip, takes a lot of effort because you have to plan where the characters are, you have to plan what they're saying, you have to plan the jokes. If it's comedy, it's a big project.
mm. Yeah, I find it fun to do like big projects. It's quite cool to see, you know, all those bits get together. You know, um, the characters, the interaction with the characters, the um, scenery, how the, you know, things play out, and then, you know, seeing from start to finish, which is really cool. And yeah, it's just I've had so much fun with this one. Um, Work.
Yeah, I absolutely, I agree there.
So yeah, I've done quite a few mediums. I've tried like animation. I did like this call it, a um, rotoscopy, I think they're called, where
Oh yeah,
you
where you draw over a a person basically.
yeah, well, yeah, a person. I did obviously a person smashing a guitar kind of a thing, which is it's really interesting. Yeah, I mean it wasn't for me. I just did it because it was a course thing, and yeah, eventually, um, yeah, it turned out pretty cool. But yeah, after doing it, it's like, well, I didn't really enjoy actually the grind of it. Actually doing it, it's yeah, cool.
That's fair. It's it's not for everyone, which is why we don't all go into animation.
Hmm. Exactly, each their own. I mean, some animation's very enjoyable. Like if it wasn't taking, I didn't have to spend like hours and hours on it. I could do a little bit every now and again. Um, I could consider doing it as a drawing, um, as a drawing version of an animation. Uh,
Yeah, if I could just get an idea of how it works, just to make like a simple GIF, a person or a group of people just doing a simple gesture or interaction, that would be enough just to help me get an idea of what it's like. Because I see there's one particular artist I enjoy. His name is Fred Perry. He does a comic called Gold Digger, and he occasionally does little animations of his characters, and they're just delightful to watch because it's just like a character looking over, but he he puts so much expression into it. It's just, I want to do that. That looks like fun, but I just don't have the skill for it.
both. Yeah, it does take a lot of learning when you're trying something new like that. Yeah, so yeah, you can check Jacob your workout at Jacob Blockman Prodigy duck.com for deviantart.com/prodigy duck, also at Jacob Blockman Facebook and other social medias that you got. Anything you'd like to say?
Uh, Otherwise, please help support my Patreon. Feel free to take a look at some of my other work. There's the Superpowered Legends and the Superpowered Bestiary. And thank you for having me on.
Yeah, very welcome. Thanks everyone for joining, coming to see my videos. Yeah, just hit that like button, subscribe, go check out your work, Prodigy Duck's work. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Have a good one. It's been a pleasure talking to you and everything.
Absolutely. This has been great.
Awesome. Have a good one. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.